Okay, my name's Mark McGrath. I'm a performance coach. I'm out here this morning at the wonderful Iron Edge setup, full of Australia's best functional training equipment. I want to talk to you about a few things. First of all, if we look at the internet and we see these amazing sort of feats going on, it's very easy to think that's beyond us, and I think that's with good reason. Because when we're performing any task, we should know very clearly what it is we're doing. So I've got a trap bar here. I'm just going to do a superset of some trap bar squats with some rocket jumps. And rocket jumps are where I move through fullest possible range of movement with a takeoff. But just before I get to those, I want to just go through what I think is most important from a training moving perspective, and that's the deep system. So deep system stability was really put on the map by the Prague School. Started with Yanda, and now Professor Collage is really taking the work to a new level, and it's based on infant development. The way you and I got to upright is not in any way different. We're using the same system, and the system's in our brain and nervous system. And that system follows very definite rules, and these are the rules we need to be clear on. So as I go into this squat bar and I reach down to pick it up, I've got to remember that my spine finishes here. So if you look in most gym settings, most people doing squats, deadlifts, cleans and so forth are actually doing so with a increase in this curve, like a hyperlordotic curve, which then gets mirrored in the low back. So really, if I'm going to stand, squat, sit, jump, I've got to realise my spine finishes here, and that my challenge is to keep my chest position, meaning my diaphragm, horizontal. So true core stability has to be that in a movement these axes remain horizontal to each other, and that's the shoulder girdle, the diaphragm, and then the pelvic girdle. And so therefore the way that I'm stable is from the chest. And again, the majority of people try and lengthen their spine from the pelvis. But the muscles crossing the pelvis are moving muscles. They have a job in bracing and so forth, but from a deep system perspective, the pelvic floor is, again, the deepest layer of our functioning, as is the diaphragm, as is the transverse abs, as is multifidus, as is the deep neck flexors. So I've just described the whole system. So what's important is when I'm doing my movements, am I doing them with a deep system perspective? And then can I pay attention to that? Now the feet are not truly part of the deep system, but practically they are. So when I'll be doing both movements, I'll be paying attention to what's called 3 points of support, centre of the heel, and then the knuckles of the first and fifth metatarsal. And that provides both transverse arches, my medial arch and my longitudinal arch, which means my feet are giving information from the ground. If my arches are collapsing, that's an insufficiency in the system. And the other thing is my toes shouldn't be gripping, they should be lengthening away. I've given you a framework for understanding the deep system, so let's have a look at the exercise.